If you are a busy woman who starts again every single Monday, it feels like, then this video is for you. So make sure you are watching it and save it and come back to it later as well, so you can rewatch it every time you start to have doubts about your progress. So it's a really common cycle I see as an online coach of over, 10 years now, who's helped hundreds and hundreds of women break this pattern where they are so motivated Monday morning, they are on it, they know what they need to do, they've sort of planned out the week in their head. Things don't quite go to plan. Maybe by Wednesday they've run out of the food that they thought they hadn't, and they haven't had a chance to go and pick some more up, or one of the kids is ill, or something's come up at work, or something changes. Before you know it, they miss out a workout on a Thursday, they start to slip into some bad habits on Friday, and the weekend is usually where things fall apart. And before you know it, they're saying, I'll start again Monday. Now, one of the main reasons I hate this is the thought of I'll start again Monday. The reason I hate that is giving yourself permission between then and Monday to do whatever you like, and then worry about it again on Monday. And that to me is the biggest hurdle, because say you start falling off on Tuesday or Wednesday, that's most of the week you're writing off, and that's the real barrier. Women get stuck because of a few reasons. Number one is perfectionism. If you are someone that is like a perfectionist in a lot of areas of your life, often with health and fitness, you cannot be a perfectionist because life's, and that often is a barrier. And so therefore, when you can't be a perfectionist, you go into that all or nothingness and you just hit nothing, and that's the issue. And that all or nothing mindset is a big barrier as well. So those clients that don't quite fall into perfectionism, they often fall into that like all or nothingness, which again can be just as dangerous. I think a lot of us wait for motivation, and we're all guilty of that. We all say, when I feel motivated, when I feel this, when this happens, I'll do this. And that is something that's just human nature of how our thought patterns work. But the issue with that is obviously motivation, it comes from action. It comes from making a change. No one sits on their couch and suddenly is motivated. There's either an external or an internal stimulus. So you watch something that's motivating, or you hear something that's motivating, or you move, or you do something action-wise yourself to make motivation. So the beauty is you can make yourself motivated. There are always going to be periods of your life where you're less motivated and periods where you're more motivated, but you cannot wait for it, because if you wait for it, it's never going to come unless actually something happens. And a lot of time it's comparing themselves on social media, looking at women that are on like GLP-1s and losing weight really quickly and not struggling with that like Monday issue, and then you feel like you're a failure, you feel terrible because for some reason you cannot stick to it. And particularly if your whole social media feed is other women losing weight or having achieved these great transformations, you can get in that sort of negative headspace of comparing yourself, which obviously leads you then to go into that all or nothing mindset, which obviously is the whole issue with I'll start again Monday. So my biggest thing I say to clients when I hear this, because I do get clients say, oh yeah, Friday is not going to plan, I'll start again Monday. My first thought and my first questions or like comments back to them is, number one, why can't you start right now? Like, why can't you start in the next hour or the next meal or in the next second? Like, why can't you start now? And also, okay, even if you can't go back to 100% of the plan, are you telling me there's not a single habit that you were doing the start of the week that you can maintain? Maybe that is just that you're still getting your steps in, or your hydration, or sleep, or some sort of basic movement. Maybe it's that you're just logging your food, even if food isn't perfect. That slowly over time breaks that all or nothingness, which again, that is where the issue is. And like I said, it's such a common cycle, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something comes up, you have a takeaway or something at work, and before you know it, you just feel like you might as well write the whole week off. And that is an issue, because before you know it, but everything we do and everything we don't do changes our neurological pathways. So every time that you say to yourself, I'll start again Monday, you're giving yourself permission, and you're giving your brain permission to get into that pattern. So every time there's a small issue, or every time there's a bad day, or every time there's a bad meal, your brain thinks, oh, well, okay, that's fine, because I know my repeated pattern that I often go through is something comes up and I just write off the rest of this time, and that's a safe thought pattern, that's what I do. And that becomes ingrained, and it gets so much harder to come back from that. So the best thing you can do is force yourself to break that thought pattern. So my next best thing is the thing I like to say is, what is the next best thing? Maybe you can get the next meal to have some protein and fiber in it. Maybe you can go and get your steps in. Maybe you can drink some water. Again, it's not about going fully back on plan or like suddenly hitting everything that you set out to hit for the entire week from Friday to Sunday or Monday. It is about what is the next best thing. And sometimes that is, okay, we have got a really social weekend, but I'm going to a barbecue, I can still have my plate mostly with protein and vegetables. Or, okay, it's a really busy weekend, but I could wake up earlier and do some steps. Or I can still control my water intake or my supplements or my sleep. There's usually always something that we can control and kind of focus on. And I always think like look, we're already bad at like foreshadowing and looking ahead and getting overwhelmed and thinking, oh, you know, August is really busy, so I'll start again in September, or December's really busy, so I'll start again in January. And again, the more you can break that thought pattern and go, okay, I can't control every meal in August, but actually there's only 3 meals out a week, and the rest of the meals, the other 17, 18 meals of the week, I do have control over. So why am I writing off an entire month when I do have most control? I just don't have control of everything. I think it's really important to remember that consistency over perfectionism is going to be what gets you the results. I've never had a client that's perfect. I will never have a client that's perfect. And like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years now. I'm not perfect, but I am consistent, and that is the difference. Again, it's not about taking everything all the time forever. Even bodybuilders, they might do that whilst they're on prep. They might do that when they have a really extreme goal, but no one does that forever. Olympic athletes have cheat meals or cheat days or days where they skip their training. We're all human, and no one is perfect. I think some really good things to look at is like just starting with the next meal, just starting with the next minute, just starting with the next decision and trying to make that one better. And like I said, the more that you can break this thought pattern and rewire your brain to go, okay, Thursday, I've had a takeaway, it didn't quite go as planned, but I'm going to start again immediately, or I'm going to plan my food out for tomorrow, or prep my food for tomorrow, or get an early night and wake up and go and do some movement. Not from a place of punishment because something's gone wrong, not from a place of restriction or guilt, but from a place of, I have goals that I am an adult and I want to achieve, and to reach those goals, I have to do X, Y, Z. And if you can do that, you will get to consistent, you will achieve everything you want to achieve, and you will stop starting again Monday. So I don't want to hear that anymore from you. I want you to start again then. Hopefully you had some useful nuggets or light bulb moments in this. Obviously, if you did, drop them in the comments below or reach out to me. Links will be in the caption below as well. I love to have a chat and always give advice, or more specific advice if I know your situation. So yeah, no starting again Monday, please and thank you. Let's have a strong rest of the week and a strong rest of your life.